Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Magdziarek and I am a performance coach. I help people with overcoming their emotional barriers, self-sabotage, improving their relationships, as well as enhancing their emotional intelligence. Decision making. Decision making involves certain behaviors, and most of them are connected pretty directly to emotional intelligence. So first of all, impulse control. So being able to slow down before you make a decision. Slow down, but then not to stall it completely. Reality check. You'll separate your emotions, how you feel about something, from facts. And it's not necessarily about rejecting our feelings. It's just about being able to remove yourself from the situation for a moment, observe it more objectively, and consider everything that you need to consider to make the right decision. Problem solving is another behavior related to decision making, because to be able to solve a problem, we need to be able, again, to put our emotions aside, use a very sort of down-to-earth and objective process. We need to be able to also understand our emotions, because emotions are data, so they are telling us something that we need to know. And of course, being able to consider others and yourself in the decision-making process. So it's not just about others, considering others. It's not just about considering yourself. It's about considering both. I like to compare emotional intelligence, emotional agility to physical fitness. So imagine that you want to go for a hike, and depending on your level of fitness, the experience will be maybe challenging but very enjoyable, or it will be really tiring. You may be still able to enjoy it afterwards, or you might have a lot of pain and little satisfaction. So it's similar with emotional intelligence. If you have it, if you practice it, because we can't really have it, but what we do, if we happen to consciously use it, of course we become better at it, because that's the beauty of emotional intelligence. We can develop this skill set. So then when a challenge arrives, we are able to resolve it and also actually enjoy it, and enjoying being able to resolve it. Just like we enjoy a challenge of hiking and we enjoy the pain afterwards, or maybe there isn't even much pain because we were prepared and we had the right level of fitness for the hike we chose. Another example of using emotional intelligence for decision making would be financial decisions. So what do our financial decisions depend on? They depend on our level of impulsiveness, of course. This is what decides about how much money we spend, and risk aversion. So in one case, we may be completely dominated by our desire to acquire things. In the other case, we may be so risk averse that we just won't be able to take risks. And anybody who takes some interest in investing money, for example, will know that there needs to be a certain level of risk taken. Obviously, we want to be able to calculate the risk, but sometimes it's just not possible. So it is about being able not to panic in certain situations, and to understand obviously how investment funds work as well. But the level of fear and risk aversion will certainly help or hinder our success here. Just to clarify, emotional intelligence doesn't mean that you don't go through certain emotions or certain feelings. Quite the other way around. You do experience a full spectrum, a full range of emotions and feelings, but you are able to decide which ones to let out and which ones perhaps to hold in. So it's not about not showing any emotion by any means. If you don't show your emotions, people can't read you. And when people can't read you, they're not familiar with you, they don't trust you. And the other way around, people who are quite reserved and maybe harder to like at the start. Of course, once you get to know them, that changes. But with a lot of people that we encounter in our life, we don't have that opportunity. And we may also miss out on the opportunity of getting to know them better if we don't show any emotion or any feelings. So keep that in mind, that being as cool as a cucumber, perhaps in a situation of crisis, that's helpful. But generally speaking, emotions are data. We must be able to read them, and we must be able to show them so that other people can read them. And I'd say the way to decode the data of emotions is definitely emotional intelligence and empathy. So when you learn to empathize, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will always feel compassionate towards someone, but at least you will be able to imagine what it must feel like and perhaps the reasons behind the decisions. And then you can decide for yourself whether you want to feel compassionate or whether it's just not something that, for example, you can accept depending on the situation. I always repeat that emotional intelligence, it's a skill set, so one can learn it. Where do you start? Well, looking inwards and evaluating actually how you respond, how you are with your emotions. Are they very hidden? Are they too visible? Perhaps it will depend on how they affect you and the people around you. So be honest about your weaknesses, about your challenges, about your struggles, and also about your strengths. Nurture those strengths, but also I think it's really worth working on our weaknesses. And it's not to criticize ourselves, it's not to do ourselves a disservice, it's just to continuously improve. When we build our emotional intelligence, our decision making becomes more agile. It becomes more effective and more efficient and more in line with what we want in life. And this is, I guess, another step in acquiring emotional intelligence, knowing what you want, always having that outcome at the front of your mind rather than just following the emotions. I guess the least we can do is take ownership for our own emotional intelligence and our actions. Sometimes we make mistakes, and it's okay. We can apologize and own our mistakes. I come across people who would never apologize sometimes, and that really doesn't help when it comes to creating healthy relationships. So knowing when to apologize, not to apologize all the time and for nothing. But if you've done something that's hurt someone, why not to apologize? Another piece of good news is that thankfully, in management schools these days, in business schools, emotional intelligence is something that is on the agenda. Being able to get in touch with your emotions, and that's for effective decision making, is a skill that is starting to be looked at as very important, especially in management, especially in leadership. When it comes to managing others, it's just necessary. So if you haven't yet done any work on emotional intelligence and you feel that you could benefit from it, then I'd really recommend doing a little audit perhaps. There is a link under the video that will let you take yourself through that exercise. So if you've enjoyed this video and if you enjoy my content, give me a thumbs up, make a comment, say what you think, or subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.